welcome to We Live in a Society and my second remote interview due to the COVID-19 apocalypse. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe by clicking on the link to the right hand side of the screen.
Hi, I'm Emma from Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia.
So can you tell me about the day you had the stroke and what you remember from it?
I remember everything.
That's okay.
I had a stroke on the 9th of September 2016, and I was 33 at the time, and I had a bad headache, and my fiance at the time said, I was telling my fiance, I had a bad headache. I think I might go to bed and everything. And and then he said, yeah, go to bed and just sleep it off. At 7:30 p.m, I collapsed in the bathroom, and I could say nothing at all. My words made no sense, but I could talk, but I can't speak. So my fiance's father was a GP specialising in neurology. So, and he dragged me off onto the blow-up mattress and just left me there for an hour and a half. And I was telling them, call an ambulance, I'm having a stroke. But I didn't get anything. So I said, what am I going to do? So I vomit, and my fiance's mum said, I think we should call an ambulance. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Kim. My daughter Emma had a stroke. My husband and I had just landed in Portugal on about to begin a holiday.
Oh.
So to get a phone call in the early evening to say that our 33-year-old daughter had had a stroke, it was amazingly frightening, and we couldn't believe it. And so we were pretty shell-shocked for a couple of days until we managed to ascertain how serious it was and realised we needed to be home. So it took us 6 days till after the stroke before we got home. It was a horribly long journey.
Yeah.
And from then on, it was basically our lives were just put on hold, and we just stayed with her ex-fiance in their house, and yes, it was 3 hours from where we live, and we just went to the hospital every day to try and do as much as we could to stimulate her recovery, and also to be an advocate for her, because and to find out what was happening, really. Yeah. So it was a long 3.5 months, because she was in the neurological ward for 2.5 weeks, and then in rehab for 3 months. And then after that, when her rehab things didn't work out with her and her partner, she moved home with us. So about 6 months, I think 6 months after the stroke, she had to move home with us, and that was a bit of a shock. But we just started. Luckily, we had good help to continue the progress at the hospitals here in Newcastle, and we actually found that the recovery improved considerably. The resources here were better than they were in Wollongong, where she had her stroke. So, yeah.
I was a lawyer, and I was working at the Family Court of Australia. I was the judicial associate for the judge. So I was working very, very hard and just trying to keep things on check, and
So regarding your recovery, what difficulties did you face with your recovery, and how did you overcome them? Things maybe that you could easily do before that you maybe struggle with a bit now.
Well, I've got paralysis in my right arm and leg. So I have physio it's every month, week or fortnight. I don't know when he comes. So, and I have speech therapy every fortnight. I can't use my right arm. So I'm left-handed, so I can cut it up in an apple, but I'm just all over, and just getting yourself dressed every now, it's hard, but you can do it. Driving, I didn't drive for about 2 years, but I hated just having to chauffeur me, and I want to be free again. So I had NDIS put me in a modified vehicle. So and before I was working again, so now I can't do that because about 12 months ago I started slowly getting back to work at Newcastle, not Parramatta. And now I am a permanent part-time employee at the family court, so that's really good. Just putting files away and folioing and destroying subpoenas and just things that I can do.
has having a stroke changed your life, short term and long term?
It's a little over 4 years ago, since the 9th of September, my stroke. And after my stroke, I had more awareness of what aphasia is, and going out into the community and just talking amongst stroke survivors, carers and everything. So that was really good.
Could you tell me what aphasia is for people who don't know?
Aphasia is loss of language, not intelligence. It's a brain injury caused by a stroke or a clot or AVM or I can't get the words out, but I can talk. Yeah, I can talk, but I can't listen or speak. So, yeah.
Okay. So how long after you had the stroke before you developed aphasia?
I didn't know what aphasia is up until 12 months ago. I had a speech therapist who came and I said to me, "What's wrong with me? I can't get the words out." And Georgie, my speech therapist, said, "Emma, you've got aphasia." What's aphasia? I don't know what aphasia is. So, yeah. So Georgie said what aphasia is, and I rang my mum and said, "I've got aphasia," and I'm proud. Like, it's a light. It shines, and it's great. It was just very hard at first when she first moved home, because with her aphasia, she still didn't really understand exactly what she had. The name aphasia hadn't really been explained to her. She knew she had communication problems, but she couldn't work it out. Not so much work it out. She just it just found it extremely frustrating, and we were struggling to try and help her mood. She got very depressed, and that was really hard for us to watch her sitting alone, not being able to communicate effectively, not being able to speak to friends. Had found it hard to keep in touch, and so there's really only family that stayed with her. So that was really hard, but fortunately she had some good therapists who got onto things to help her. So eventually we got there, and after about 9 or 10 months she had a great speech therapist who said, "You've got aphasia," and that was like a light bulb moment, just having the name for the condition. Definitely. And realising that she wasn't going mad.
Okay, so what could people do to help people with aphasia feel supported in the community? Is there anything that any services you wish existed?
People with aphasia, just talk one-on-one and don't shout. Just talk one-on-one and I it's too much background noise. I can't function if there's too much background noise, and just give us time to answer one direction or question at a time. And just all the doctors and nurses and physiotherapists and speech therapists who come, just tell them about aphasia and what it means and how you help. So, yeah.
Have you been treated differently as a result of your stroke and aphasia?
Treated differently, like
by friends and family, or just when you're out and about?
When I'm out and about, going to shops or anything, people used to stare at me because I had a stroke. So, and old and young people as well, and middle-aged people. So they used to stare, and I was really depressed and now I look up to them and I smile and hello and say, how are you? And I get, oh, yeah, what? so yeah, I don't bother me at all. It's every now and then it takes a bit of time, or so at Christmas we had about 10, 15 people, and just talking about life, and I just switch off and just go in my little own world. So yeah, and I so Mum, Dad, and Katrina, my sister, who was up for the weekend, and Mum and Dad and Katrina were talking, and I can't get a word in, so I just switch off. So yeah, that is a little bit difficult, but it's okay. I'll get by.
What's the one thing you would like people to know about aphasia?
I'm a person too.
Yep.
Talk to me. Just aphasia is loss of language, not intelligence. I'm very smart, but I just can't get the words out. So give us time to answer one direction or question at a time. No background noise. Just take it slow and we'll be fine. Yeah. I was at the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, and I was there with my dad, and we went down to meet someone, and the client services officer was talking to Dad, and I said, "Hello, I'm a person too. Talk to me." And everyone stopped, sort of looks. So, okay. So, hello, I'm here. And yeah, that was pretty funny.
It must be very frustrating though as well.
Yes, it is very, very frustrating, because I am a person. I can't speak as well as you guys, but I am a person too. So just go with the flow and just see what happens.
Is that are there a lot of common misconceptions about people with aphasia? Like you said, like people will talk to a parent or a friend rather than directly to you. Does that happen a lot?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So has having the stroke and aphasia sort of shaped who you've become today?
Yes, very much so. I'm more aware about aphasia and what aphasia is, and I'm telling everyone, every man and their dog about aphasia. Yeah. And I was talking to community groups and high schools and primary schools, and just everyone who meets someone about aphasia, and it's really been beneficial for me talking about my stroke and my aphasia. And I get a lot out of it. Yeah. Because of Emma's experience and the fact that we were left in the dark for a little while, we both sort of felt that it should be something that we should take and take under our wing, and trying to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to other people. Mm-hmm. So I did lots of research, I did lots of readings, and Emma liked public speaking, so she started to, as part of her improvement therapy, she started giving speeches to different community groups, and I joined the Australian Aphasia Association, and trying to do as many things on a volunteer basis as I can to help promote the understanding and knowledge of aphasia. So, yeah.
Was there like an aphasia club in the Newcastle Maitland area before Emma became? Did she found that, or was that already existing?
Yeah, that they did exist. It sort of formed from a group that met at the hospital when they were undergoing rehab, and when the hospital said, "You've got to finish up now because your turn is up," they thought, well, this isn't good enough, we want to keep this going, and so they formed the club. And it was just luck in a way that we got the name of the group. And about a year after Emma, at the end of the year, Emma moved to live with us, and it was a lifesaver for her and also good for us, my husband and I, because as carers,
we met other carers. We were able to discuss other problems and things that we had and, little gripes about NDIS or with different things. And it was just great to have support for all of us, the whole family. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Emma was saying before, and you also mentioned that a lot of her friends sort of disappeared after, because just, I guess they didn't understand the condition, and
they don't.
Yeah, and so having that, having that group would help them have like social interactions and help them with depression and things like that, and people don't understand. So it's important to have these groups.
It is. It's that they all appreciate each other. They understand what the other person is feeling. Whereas people Emma's age who were friends, they found it hard to converse with her, and she found it hard to converse with them after about 15 minutes or so. She'd be tired and she couldn't continue, and her friends would just sit around, and so of course they just sort of started to drop off. About the only person that sort of stuck with her is her sister and her sister's partner and family members, because they appreciate and they understand more. So the Maitland Aphasia communication group, we meet for 2 hours every Friday from 10 till 12, and I'm the president, and I hold the microphone in front of me, and I'm just talking one-on-one to the group. So, Caroline, how was your day? And Caroline said, my day was fine. So everyone gets a turn, and we had birthdays and and stroke anniversaries, and now every fortnight we have speech therapy come every day, every fortnight, every Friday, and I really, really, really love it, because I'm part of the group. I have a purpose that I have, and it's just
helps a lot of people.
Laughter. We live in a society